Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Woo woo! Everyone get a little lunch? Everyone fired up for this session? Yeah. Thanks to the wooers and the crowd here. We're thrilled to have you here. I'm Sasha Grimm. I'm with Jamf, and I'm here to help facilitate our Unleashing Smart Workflows with new Jamf APIs. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our session hosts, James and Hernán. Come on up.
Thank you.
I got you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Hernán Romero, product manager of our API ecosystem here at Jamf, and I'm joined by James Robinson, who's Director of Engineering. Today, we want to share how Jamf's API evolution is unlocking smarter workflows. So this is going to be more than just a set of new features. It's a shift in how we build, design, and enable others to build with us. So whether you're a customer or a partner, developer, this is for you. So here's what we'll cover. First, we'll show you where Jamf is today in terms of API capabilities. Then we'll walk through what the future looks like, so the direction we're heading with the platform APIs that you heard about in the keynote and elsewhere, and also our new unified developer experience. And finally, James will get to the nitty-gritty and we'll show you some exciting demos that I'm sure you'll really like to check out. So he will bring a lot of these ideas to life here in this session. So first, let's talk about where we are now. Jamf's public APIs are actually super popular right now. So last year, we had an incredible 21,000 customers integrating with Jamf APIs. And this came in the form of 23 billion API calls. And half of those actually come via known Jamf marketplace integrations. So it's really popular. We have a really big demand there. Jamf's APIs today can unlock a variety of real-world use cases. So for example, you can integrate with systems like ServiceNow to streamline IT processes. You can automate repetitive tasks like configuring new devices. You can trigger real-time workflows using webhooks. And also feed device data into analytics or AI tools. You can build custom onboarding tools for instance, for your customers, if you're a reseller. And you can create completely new solutions. Like there was someone who has built like an in-store badge scan that would then do all the provisioning afterwards, so for retail, and that sort of thing. That's great. Like you can actually use the APIs to build such innovative solutions. And you can also explore and create integrations and make them available in Jamf Marketplace. I really encourage especially a lot of our tech partners to keep building, keep developing new innovative solutions that you really hope will bring new things to life in Jamf. So what are Jamf's APIs? Well, first, we have Jamf Pro. So Jamf Pro has our most mature and widely used set of APIs for managing Apple devices at scale. So it currently comes in two flavors, our classic API, which is XML-based, and our Pro APIs, which is JSON-based. It has all the filtering, pagination, so a lot more performance. So there's a few things that are different between those. We have Jamf School, which has a similar support, but for K-12 institutions. Protect, it offers a GraphQL API, and it's a bit different query language, but it's super dynamic, and it helps automate threat response and data ingestion. Like they have the data telemetry there, for instance, that we talked about in the State of the Union for commercial. And then JSC currently has a limited set of public APIs, but we're really focusing on growing this quite a lot. So they're really focused on compliance and network security, and it's going to be growing quite a lot. And for instance, we're actually pioneering the OpenID shared signals framework, which is an open standard for very easy risk signal interoperability between vendors and applications. So each product has evolved independently, and that brings quite a few challenges, as you can imagine. And really, there's quite a few that I wanted to discuss. So first of all, we have a very fragmented authentication and authorization across products. So you have to create authentication tokens with different sets of permissions across different product portals. There's also different products will have different API styles, schemas, and data models. So this makes the experience a bit inconsistent. So it can have a bit of a tedious integration and parsing workflows for you because of that. And the other thing as well is that we share a lot of resources, like similar resources across products. So for instance, device as a resource, it can behave differently depending on the product and have different identifiers, for instance. So someone has to go through the task of matching them across products if you want to integrate with a platform. So it's time to address these challenges with a new developer experience at Jamf. So first off, we're bringing a unified authentication and authorization with API clients. Our goal with this is to have consistent, centralized, and unified developer experience regardless of whether you're working with our new platform APIs or even product-specific APIs like Pro, School, Protect, JSC, and more. We've built a new API client space in Jamf account where you can create API client credentials to authenticate and add permissions to access all major Jamf APIs. We will be releasing this in public beta later this year. I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback once that comes out. So, as mentioned as well, through growth and acquisition, Jamf has ended up with overlapping data and capabilities. And this generates duplicated workflows and data matching efforts for you. So we're launching a platform API layer to join up workflows and standardize data across different Jamf products as a means to simplify and unify. So platform APIs not only reduce that complexity and friction, but also extend value from a holistic and consistent approach. And we'll be rolling out APIs for blueprints, compliance benchmarks, inventory API. So inventory API or device inventory API is going to be a single source of truth for devices, users, and device groups across the platform. The devices will have, for instance, like a platform identifier that will be shared across the platform. Another innovation that we're adding as well, like rather than how today with Pro APIs you have mobile devices endpoint, but also the computer's endpoint for inventory, we're going to join that up, and then that's much better than later to filter it down by device type. So it should make your devices much easier. Like when, for instance, some devices share groups, rather than having to work through different endpoints, everything is just collected into one. So that should make things a bit easier. And then we also have management APIs that look beyond Jamf Pro as a means to standardize MDM. So there'll be many, many more that come into play, and I definitely watch this space. It's definitely going to be the direction of travel. So we definitely, we will have the product APIs in place in the client credential workflow, but we're also going to have these platform APIs. So over time, these APIs will be enriched with data from all Jamf products and become a single unified data layer that everything builds on. So for Jamf, this layer is the foundation for new experiences without forking the stack. And for customers and partners, this is an excellent opportunity to integrate across the whole of the Jamf stack in one go. But we also want to meet customers where they are. So as I said, this is not just another API. We're supporting existing product APIs like Pro and Classic APIs because we understand that there are existing workflows there. I know you've put a lot of hours and hard work into making those workflows currently there. So, and we know that we've heard a lot of feedback around them, and much of those feedback or missing things in these product APIs we're incorporating into the platform API. And we're seeking to get that feature parity in the platform as well. So we hope that you will eventually find great benefit into moving some of your workflows across, regardless of whether you're using Pro or multiple products. We're also, at Jamf, one thing that's really key in all of this that underpins it is we're shifting how we build at Jamf. We're being much more intentional about treating APIs as products with external use cases in mind. So instead of APIs being a byproduct of our capabilities, they're designed first, often before the UI is built. So we come up with the Open API spec first to enable that early feedback and encourage that innovation ahead of us iterating over our UI. But to really show the fruition of our work in action, I'll hand it over to James, who's going to really get into really exciting stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Hernán. Awesome. Thanks, Hernán. Thanks, everyone, for joining our session. All right, let's get started. Woo. Oh, thank you, thank you. We have some awesome teams at Jamf that are helping to shape and build our new platform API ecosystem. And I'm extremely excited today to be able to share with you the awesome work that these teams have been doing to enable you, our Jamf Nation community.
Sorry.
Today, I'll demonstrate platform APIs with real working code, showing you exactly how to authenticate, deploy configurations, and automate your compliance monitoring. But first, let me quickly explain what makes platform APIs so special. There are three capabilities here. One, unified access control. One secure API client that works across all of your services, all of your Jamf products, all of the new services that we're developing today. It's like a key card that opens exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. Two, deploy settings like building blocks. Thanks to Apple's DDM framework and the brilliant blueprints and platform teams at Jamf, you now can create configurations once, deploy them anywhere. Devices just self-enforce these configurations, no drift, no manual fixes. And three, automated compliance. The API continuously monitors and reports security compliance for you. I'll demonstrate each of these today with live scripts, real code, that will illustrate to you how you can start consuming our APIs. So before we get started, the first part of the demo I'll demonstrate is making your first API call. In order to make your first API call, you're going to need a set of client credentials. One set of client credentials that works across all of your Jamf services, authorize access to only what's required, and exchange these credentials for a 15-minute secure token. Let me break down what this actually means for you. OAuth 2 is just another secure way for your scripts to log in. And I say that very loosely. It's like when you sign into Jamf Pro and Jamf School. OAuth 2 client in its simplest forms is basically a special username and password, but just for your automation scripts. You set this up once in Jamf account. When you create this client, you provide a set of permissions such as, can it read device information? Can it change settings? Can it delete things? You decide exactly what it's allowed to do. This is least privilege security. Only give access to what's absolutely needed for your workflow. Now, here's the clever part. Your script doesn't use those credentials directly. Instead, it trades them for something called a JWT, a JSON Web Token. You can think of this as a temporary security badge. This badge expires every 15 minutes, which is actually great for security. If someone steals your token, it doesn't last for too long. As well as, we are also planning to support things like token revocation, so we'll go through all of that as well. All right, now to the fun part. So I created a couple of different recipes here for all of you guys to kind of partake in. These are available on developer.jamf.com. Just click on Platform APIs and you'll be able to select recipes. And these are kind of recipes to help you get started. It shows you how to authenticate with our APIs, how to make your first API call, gives you instructions for going to Jamf account, creating those clients. It also provides some instructions on creating blueprints. Gives you an example of how you would go about configuring a blueprint, deploying that blueprint, also enabling compliance benchmark for your compliance monitoring. Let's have a look at what this process entails. So the first part of this, I'll open up my recipe. The first part of the script is I need to export my client ID and client secret. So what we're going to do is hop over to Jamf account, And you'll see a new API clients page within Jamf account. This is also showing you, I already have an existing client. There's a lot of permissions you'll see that are tied to that client. This is just my dev instance, so definitely wouldn't need all of that in production. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new client here. We're gonna call this Infrared Code Production. So we'll go ahead and create that client. We're gonna give it a quick description. We're gonna select our environment. The environment consists of Jamf Pro and Jamf Protect. And then I'll grant a couple of privileges here. So what I'm doing now is just selecting what privileges I believe I need for my use case here. So we'll be using compliance benchmarks, we'll be using blueprints, device groups. But wait, it looks like I have device actions execute enabled. We probably don't need that for our demo today, so we're gonna go ahead and modify this and remove that device actions permission. So let's go ahead and remove that and set that state to off. Perfect. Let's save that client. All right, let's close out of that. So now if we hop back over to the script, you can see the next part is exactly what we just saw. Jamf account produced this curl command for us. I just variabilized that with my client ID and secret. Let's go ahead and paste that in. Perfect. I'm able to get an access token back. And don't worry, these credentials are destroyed, so you won't have access in case you watch the video later. The token expiration is something, the next part of the script here. We have a 15-minute expiration. You'll see in the JWT payload, the response payload, it will show expires in 900 seconds, so that equates to about 15 minutes. Perfect. All right, and then next part is basically just making our API call. So we'll go ahead and copy this script over, hop over to VS Code, and get started here. Go ahead and save this as get_token. Perfect. So the first part of the script, I need to provide my client ID and secret. So we're setting these as environment variables directly in the terminal, but you can manage this however you like. This could be in some AWS secrets manager, it could be in HashiCorp Vault. Your script can pull from those secure places, so just keep that in mind here. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and chmod +x this script to make it executable, and then we'll go ahead and execute it. Beautiful. The script worked perfectly. I was able to call my components blueprint endpoint. Let's take a look at that token to see what exactly that looks like. We're going to need this for debugging purposes and just so that we can reuse this token as a part of the demonstrations here. But please don't do this in your real production scripts. You don't want your access tokens being in your logs. All right, perfect. As you can see, I'm able to print out my token, and we'll reuse this token in a later part of the demo. All right, so what I just went through there was simply going to Jamf account, our new API clients page, creating a new API client, pulling my script from the recipe area, and then just running that. So that was pretty simple. I was able to exchange those client IDs, client ID and secret for a token, similar to what you are already used to with the Jamf Pro API today. So we just released, not too long ago, the client credential workflow. So most of our admins should be pretty familiar with that. All right, let's hop over to part 2, deploying a blueprint. So blueprints are how we configure devices using Apple's new declarative device management framework, or DDM. Think of DDM as Apple's next generation way to manage devices. Instead of sending profiles that devices have to process, we send declarations of what we want, and devices figure out how to make it happen. In this demo, I'll show you how to discover configurable blueprint components, walk through creating a disk encryption blueprint, and deploying it to a device group, all in about 30 seconds of script runtime. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So we'll open up our blueprints recipe. As you can see, I already have a function ready, list blueprints component. That's calling my blueprints components endpoint. This will return a list of the available blueprint components that you would typically see in the UI. So there are 12 declarations that are currently supported. You'll be able to see all of that. And as far as the script goes, we'll get into a bit of that in just a second here. All right, so we're going to copy this over, hop back into VS Code, and paste this code. All right, we're going to title this blueprints.sh, make this executable again. In the first part of the script, we need to scope this to something. So blueprints requires you to scope to an actual device group. So we're going to scope this to an existing device group that I have for all of my computers. All right, so I'll go ahead and paste that in now. Perfect. All right, so let's run the script. All right, a lot is happening here. Obviously, you wouldn't need to list blueprint components as a part of your own script. This is just for demonstration purposes, just to show you how to interact with our API and what's available there. As you can see, the first part, we're producing this access token. We're going to copy that. We're going to use that later. The 12 blueprint components are listed here. We do support custom declarations, so keep that in mind. Fully supported are the 12 declarations, but we do support custom declarations. So if there's something that's not in that 12 list, you can use our API to use the custom declaration. All right, so as you can see, we created a blueprint and it produced an ID for us. We're going to hop over to our developer.jamf.com site where we have all of our new API documentation, which is very interactive. So I can paste my token here. I can also have different examples of using the API. So it has different examples. What we're focused on today is Bash, so, but you can use Python, Ruby, Node, all of the above. Let's try it out. So directly from the documentation, I can query my blueprints endpoint, and I can see the available blueprints that are already deployed to my environment here. So we'll select this blueprint ID, and we'll get more information about this blueprint. So we'll input that ID here, and let's just hit try it out. Perfect. I'm able to get more information about this blueprint, and I can see this is exactly what I was looking for. All right, and all of your identifiers are here. You can also list the available blueprint components. Like I said before, there are 12, but we do support Apple's, all of the custom declarations via Apple. All right, perfect. All right, that was simple enough. And something also to mention, all of the configuration I did was within the Bash script. If you come to the API booth in the expo hall, I can show you real examples of having your files checked into Git, having this externalized outside of the script. So although just for demo purposes, I created the script and I have all of this blueprint configuration, my actual blueprint component inside the script, all of this can be externalized into your own GitOps workflow. So you can check this into Git, whether you're using GitHub or GitLab or whatever tool that you're using, you can integrate this into your own automation system. So the configuration of how you're managing your devices can be managed outside of your pipelines. And that could make your compliance auditing teams happy because they have auditability for what's actually live. All right, part 3, automate compliance. The Compliance Benchmark API unlocks programmatic access to your entire compliance framework. No more clicking through UIs or manually building policies. Everything is code-driven. With the API, you can query all available baselines in your environment, pull individual rules as JSON, each rule with its ID, description, and evaluation criteria. You can create benchmarks dynamically based on your needs, deploy different rule sets to different device groups, pull compliance results via the API for integration with your own SIEM or reporting tools. Think about the possibilities here. Scheduled compliance checks before audits, automated benchmark updates when CIS releases new standards, integration with your ticketing system for non-compliant devices, custom dashboards for pulling real-time compliance percentages. The script I'm about to run does what would typically take about 30 minutes of manual configuration via the UI. We'll discover CIS baselines, pull 100+ security rules, and deploy them as an active benchmark. All through our API calls, you can schedule, orchestrate, and integrate. Let's take a look. All right, now we'll open up the compliance monitoring recipe. As you can see, the first function I have is discover CIS baselines. For my environment specifically, I have CIS level 1 and level 2 configured. So when I call this baseline endpoint, this will return those available baselines. If you do have custom baselines, those would show up as well. Any future baselines that Jamf support will also be available. All right, so let's hop into our API documentation and take a look at things here. Here's my baselines endpoint. So if I could try it out, you can see CIS level 1 and level 2, as I mentioned before. You can also pull rules for these individual baselines. So I believe CIS level 1 has about 106 rules, so we'll take a look at what that looks like in just a second here. As you can see, the next part of the script is actually checking for rules. So we'll look at our API documentation here and see how that works. The documentation just makes it easier as you're building your automation to just try it out. See what works, and then if it works, you can just simply copy that into your own script. Perfect. We're not going to go through all of these 106 baselines. I don't want folks to get dizzy in here. There's a lot of text, so yeah, we're going to skip over some of this. All right. Next part is creating the benchmark. Like I said before, the configuration is all in my bash script just for demonstration purposes, but all of this can be externalized. And please come to the API booth. I'm more than happy to give you live demonstrations to show this in real time. All right, we'll copy this script over into VS Code now. All right, we're making this executable. In the first part, before we run this, let's check our device group ID to make sure that's still set, because this isn't going to work unless we scope it to a device group. Perfect. See my UUID is there, so we'll go ahead and run this script. All right. As you can see, the first part of the script is discovering the available baselines, and then it's pulling all of the available rules for CIS level 1, which I've selected. What I'm doing in my script, I'm basically looping through all of the rules and creating a baseline with all 106 rules. I do not advise you to do this in production. Be very specific on what you enable in your environment. Enabling it in monitoring mode is great, but really for compliance, you really want to get to enforcing. So before you can get to enforcing, you need to understand all of the rules that you do enable within your own environment. As you can see, benchmark, just like blueprints did, produce an ID. This ID is something that you can use to check the status of the benchmark, to see if it's deployed, to see if it's synchronized with our system, to get a bit more information. And the compliance benchmark team is also releasing new APIs within the next month, I believe, if not sooner. These will be reporting APIs, which will give you more information about individual devices and the reporting compliance across all of them. So there's a lot more to come here. Perfect. As you can see, we're just running through a couple of the examples, showing you how we can interact with the API docs again, and this matches up with the device group that we saw previously. So 586 device group is the same that you can see here. You can also create a benchmark directly from the documentation, but for this demo, let's go ahead and delete this benchmark that we just created. All right, let's double check that it deleted. We should only see one now. Perfect, perfect. Let's get the ID of that benchmark and just make sure it's deleted here. All right, not found, perfect. All right, that was pretty quick, but it just demonstrates how you can start interacting with our APIs. Like what Hernán said earlier in the demo, earlier in the presentation, we do have a lot more endpoints that will be available for the demo. Today, I only focus on blueprints and compliance benchmark, but we are releasing a new devices endpoint which unifies your computers, your Jamf Pro API computers, and your mobile devices so that you just have one devices endpoint going forward. This should make it easier and reduce the cognitive load on your developers and your IT admins from having to figure out which API do I need to use for this use case, and then having to have logic that meshes all of that back together. So we took all of that fun work out of your hands, so to give you this new devices endpoint. We did the same thing with device groups. So previously, you had a device group for computers, a device group for mobile devices, a device group for smart groups and static groups. We're unifying all of that to give you one unified experience across our entire platform. All right, with that said, I will pass it back over to Hernán. Thank you all.
Woo. The timing on those pre-recorded videos, that was impressive, honestly. Another round of applause for James, honestly. All right, so yeah, just wanted to cover, really just wrap up here with a summary of what we went through. We want to build this new developer experience for you, the people that develop with Jamf. And firstly, we showed your API clients in Jamf account. This gives developers one place to generate and manage credentials and permissions across all major Jamf APIs, including our new platform APIs. It's simple, scalable, and I'm really looking forward for you to get your hands on it. Second, we're tackling duplicated workflows and overlapping data with a new platform API layer that joins workflows, standardizes data, and reduces integration friction across the whole of Jamf. And finally, we grounded all of this with practical examples, showing how our new unified experience and platform APIs can solve real problems today, like you saw with blueprints and compliance benchmarks APIs. And yeah, looking forward to hearing what you think. This is the start of something really exciting. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
Great job, James and Hernán. These two will be joined by Eric, who will be helping with the facilitation of our Q&A. I'll be running around the room grabbing your questions. So if you do have a question, please throw your hand up and we'll get started. Bear with me, I'm short. Lots of steps here.
Thank you. Thank you. First question is, you have shown us through account, jamf.com, that you could create an API role and privilege and so on. But I've not understood how you say that this thing is for this instance, because on Jamf's account, you might have several instances, just not one. For example, many people do have a demo instance and a production instance. I've not seen how you choose which one.
Yeah, I can take that.
Take it.
Yeah, so great question there. The question was mainly about the UI that we showed as far as the client credentials. When I selected environment, it wasn't really descriptive on how that environment got configured. So what the team is now working out on, there's a couple of things that we do have where we will auto-configure if you only have a single Jamf Pro instance, or if you've purchased Jamf for Mac, or any of our bundled products, those will be auto-configured. We do have the ability for you to select the individual product instances, so you'll be able to select the individual products. In my demonstration, it was more of a pre-release UI that did not have all of the bells and whistles that we'll have in public beta, but for the UI, we will be able to select like a group of product instances or just individual product instances.
What I'll also add is if you have multi-tenants, you'll be able to map, and multi-products, you'll be able to map those various product environments and tenants to the correct Jamf Security Cloud, to the correct Jamf Pro, et cetera.
Yeah, for the public beta we're coming out with, you should be able to select the specific instances as well. So you'll be able to test that out. What else?
Who's next?
With the API client section in the Jamf account, when you're configuring those client credentials, are are there plans to have an API to configure that so we can make, setting all those scopes and
Yep.
like what they have access to?
Yeah.
easy?
That's it, yes.
Yes, everything we're doing this day forward is API first. So all of your capabilities that you're seeing, that new capabilities that you see in the UI, you will have an API for that.
Okay, great. And maybe second question. So, and this is, I guess, kind of forward thinking, but there still isn't feature parity between like the Jamf Pro Classic API and the Jamf Pro API, and now you've got the Jamf Platform API. Is the move forward that that's really going to be the future and has everything, or is there still going to be like, the Jamf Pro API is going to get some more features, or is it kind of just going to maybe be kept updated, but maybe future stuff's going to go with the Platform API?
Yeah, I'll maybe put us on blast a little bit. I was talking with a customer earlier today who was like, third time's the charm in the universal API, huh? So we're really like, we kind of have an imperative. We've acquired a lot of different organizations, typical or historical product lines, and we're trying to flatten that out. So we could do that. We can keep diverging if we want to and keep some walls up between those different product lines. But as you've started to see, we're trying to combine those. We're saying you have Jamf Security Cloud, you have the same device in Jamf Pro. Why are you referring to it by two different UUIDs? And why do I, as an admin, have to extrapolate this to a data lake to then come figure out what it is? We're trying to flatten that out so that there is a more unified source of truth. Yes, there will be some powering of, yeah, this is powered by Jamf Pro, the Jamf Pro API specifically. This might be powered by the JSC APIs, but we're trying to flatten that out long term. So, one of the other questions that I've gotten is like, cool, so when does that mean you're deprecating it? Until we have feature parity, I personally don't have any interest in deprecating something, because then that's just screwing you all over, and that's not doing any favors. So we want to make sure that we provide 6-12 month timeline at least to make sure that you can plan accordingly to get over to the new ones.
Yeah, and the existing APIs will be available in that new client credential workflow.
Right.
So if you needed to, that's an additional level of security you're going to have for the existing APIs. And, of course, the future, we're looking at the platform. And as we, we'll apply the strangler effect, where as we add more feature parity, we'll then see how we can work with you to move those workflows over. But yeah, it should be, obviously, we'll be very transparent about all these steps. We'll make sure all of it is documented and very clear for you.
And maybe one other question. Are there any plans to have official supported SDKs for languages for the APIs?
I don't think it's out of the question. Feel free to find us afterward and we can talk about it. I'd love to learn more about that use case.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to call out as well, I'm sure you heard from the keynote, we are officially supporting a Terraform provider. So I guess that's one step we're taking currently, which is, again, just to make sure if you don't want to interface directly with APIs, but actually just want to use infrastructure as code, that's definitely a big step. We're trying to make sure we start supporting some of these things in the community. So yeah, we're definitely exploring things.
Who else has questions? Yeah,
These are good questions. Keep them coming.
great questions.
I may have missed this early on, but how does Jamf School fit in with the Platform API? Is that day one support, or is that kind of down the road, or we just interact directly with Jamf School?
Great question here. We're definitely not forgetting about Jamf School. All of the management APIs will eventually work with Jamf School using the same specification. We also want to make this simple for our partners who build integrations across our products. So our partners will have one API specification to work with going forward, regardless if it's Jamf School or Jamf Pro. Day one for GA, it will only be supported for Jamf Pro, but we do have it on a roadmap to quickly shore up for Jamf School.
I hate to ask, is that like 3, 6 months, year? What are you guys looking at for timeline? Sorry.
It's a fair question. I don't know if there's a specific timeline that we can provide you. So with that, I think you can kind of infer that it's not in the near future. It's not that we're trying to say, hey, we're going to do this later. We want to do this indefinitely. Again, to the earlier question about okay, is this the new API? And just we are trying to consolidate it. We are trying to flatten it so that if you want to have no interface with whichever console you're using, you shouldn't have to. If you want to automate all that stuff, great. So if that's Jamf Pro, if that's Jamf School, if that's whatever, pick your poison, that will be consolidated on the platform in our long-term vision.
Thank you.
Yeah. Question in the front here.
Coming. Gotta get my running shoes on here.
So we've seen that you can scope it to, multiple products or a single product. Is there a way to scope a client to, like, for instance, in Jamf Pro, you can have multiple sites. Will there be a way to scope it to this site in this instance?
We have to. That may not be available day one, but that is definitely on the immediate roadmap.
Yeah, it's something we're looking at right now.
Thanks.
If you also want to meet afterward, I'd love to hear your site's use case.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
On the right side. My right, your left.
Just like everybody else, I'm excited to see the new platform API. But as you're building this, mine's more just kind of on the other side. Are you building a nice, robust change log so that we can track all of the additions, removals, deprecations, and those kinds of things, so that we're not surprised when something's pulled out of the API all of a sudden that we didn't know about?
Yeah. You want to take that?
Yeah, I can talk. Yeah, we want to be more transparent. That's something we're looking into as well, is just building that into the contract. Like, actually, as you build or as you have a workflow, getting notified directly through that. So that way it's just like immediate. You don't need to even go to our change logs or anything like that. You just know it.
Yeah, and we will still have the change logs available on developer.jamf.com, similar to what we already provide for Jamf Pro API.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll try to cover as much as possible with that.
If you want a sneak peek, you can also go to developer.jamf.com. Somewhere in the left nav bar toward the bottom, you'll see coming soon. We have device groups, devices, actions, which is a subset of commands, a smaller limited set of commands, and then users. So if you're like, oh, this is missing my favorite property, then take a peek and be like, I will need this before I can transition. It's super helpful feedback for us. One in the front on the right side, my left.
Hi. My question is more about, so for Jamf Pro, modern and classic APIs, currently there is not feature parity between classic and modern. Just kind of wondering, with the announcement of the classic API being deprecated, is that on the roadmap to get that up to speed before it goes away?
Yep, like I mentioned, I have no interest in getting rid of endpoints that don't have a better replacement. If we don't have a replacement, I don't think we have a valid enough use case to actually be deprecating that fully. I think we need to continue supporting that until we have, like, great, feature parity is either in the platform or the GAP APIs or something where you as an admin and your customers, internal or external, have an ability to use it.
Right. Would you see like extending the like deprecation if like you're not able to get there in time, or do you
like feature parity wise?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even. Yes.
Thank you. Got time for one more question. Anyone want to throw out one last zinger? Come on. Yeah.
Is there anything that I need to enable in my organization's Jamf account to see the APIs section, or is that something that should be there for everyone?
Yeah, so once it becomes available through public API, the public beta, you'll be able to enroll to it in Jamf account. So there's a specific section that you can enroll to public betas, and you should have a section there talking about public APIs.
Do we have a call to action for private beta, or are we? I can't remember that.
No, I think we're going straight to the public beta for the platform APIs.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries.
Thank you. Great questions today. We really appreciate the engagement. For those interested in learning more, you can join these 3 upstairs in the expo hall in the API booth. Otherwise, attend their API spotlight session, which is being hosted tomorrow at 12:45.
Yep.
So please join me in a round of applause for this group. James, Hernán, Eric, appreciate it. Great session.
If you have questions that you didn't get to ask, I'll at least be standing right here, probably with